Is Kettlebell Simple and Sinister from the iconic Pavel Tsatsouline worth your time, or should you stay away from it? Let's check it out. Grüezi Veteran, Gregory von Lebe here. I've been asked multiple times to review Kettlebell Simple and Sinister by Pavel, so here we go. I think it is a valuable book that teaches you some basics about the kettlebell and just introduces you maybe, or has introduced you to the kettlebell, this powerful tool that we all love, that we all think is great. Now, there is some stuff in there that I do agree with, and there's some stuff where I do disagree with. And what I really want you to understand before we dive into this review is different opinions can coexist next to each other. Just because I don't agree with some things that Pavel says doesn't mean that you have to necessarily agree with it or don't agree with it. Do your own research. What you hear now from me is the experience that I have, the research that I've done, and this is where my ideology and my philosophy comes from. Now, what I really like the most about this programming, and I even said this before I read the book, is the simple aspect of it. It's simple. 2 exercises, the swing and the Turkish get up. That's good stuff. Don't complicate your workout with multiple exercises just to get a 10-minute workout. I recently saw a 10-minute workout on YouTube that got over 20 million views, and he does 15 different exercises, which can be cool. But when we look at the principles of adaptation, the first thing that we want to look at is, most important, is individualization. Individualize a training program for the person. Specificity. Then we have progressive overload, so using the right weight. And at number 4 comes variation. Now, people sometimes think, well, I need variety, otherwise it gets boring. But what I've also learned now is not only that the basics are the strongest, or they give you the most bang for your buck, and you don't have, according to the law of adaptations or the principle of adaptations, you don't have to use a lot of variety because it's only at place 4. What's even more important is when you talk to athletes like I have been able to talk to, like Denis Vasilev, for example. He uses the method that I call now a death by 1,000 cuts. He does the same exercises for thousands and thousands and thousands of reps, which gives him the benefits and the possibility to profit from the so-called law of exercise and use so-called muscle memory to perfect the exercise. And when muscle memory is strong and the law of exercise has been built upon, then when stress situation happens, for example, you get tired, your body still does the automatic stuff because your cerebellum stored the information the right way, and you can live now under stress, which is a very interesting point of view. What I also like about the programming is his stretching routine, which I think is very cool, because I came up with a stretching routine, a video that you can watch right here if you're interested. I came up with the stretching routine by myself, and I actually thought it was cool that Pavel uses the same stretching routines. Of course, there are only so many stretching routines that you can do. There are not a lot of varieties, but he chooses the same ones that I chose, which gives me some confirmation. I also like the idea that I got from him, not only from the book, but also from the podcast with Joe Rogan that he did, where he says, and also Jonathan Goodman from the PTDC says the same, choose the minimum effective dose. Don't kill yourself. Don't burn yourself. Be careful and work according to what your body's telling you. What he says also, Pavel, and also he says leave some energy in the tank, and he gives some parable, some story with a fighter or a warrior or a soldier who has, maybe after walking around a long day and has to backpack all this stuff, and then boom, something happens, and he still has to be ready. He still has to have some energy in the tank to go all in and be ready for whatever happens. So I really like this approach. I really like this idea, how Pavel goes about it. Now, where we can have a debate about is the hard style, of course. I think, the Turkish get-up is not even a sport exercise. It doesn't come from the kettlebell sport. Kettlebell sport has jerk, snatch, and long cycle, and that's it. So these 3 exercises. And the Turkish get-up is a grinding lift, so comes from a different style. So this is probably where Pavel brought it in. And we can also have a debate, because when I listen to what Denis Vasilev is saying, how the kettlebell, where it originates, how folks in Russia even started. I think he said one of the first records that have been set out in kettlebell sport was in 1947, so it's a pretty long time ago. And Pavel now says he discovered, or he took the style that was evident in the Soviet Union in his times, and he probably was a soldier, and Dennis even said he probably was a sport athlete as well. He took it, and it's his own creation. This is something that I have now come to full realization of, that hard style is Pavel's creation. It's not something that existed in Russia and then he took it and brought it to the States or to the Western world. He took his own style, and we have to say thanks to the man, because he's actually responsible why the kettlebell even is now so popular in the West, and that's a good thing. And another thing that we could also talk about, you see his influence that he's got from martial arts, from fighters, from warriors, from soldiers, and you can see that this heavily influenced the way he trains with the kettlebell. For example, he does a lot of parables and a lot of comparisons in the book with the kime, for example. Kime is something that comes from I think karate. And kime is this full-blown attack, if I can remember it correctly, where he goes all in and you got to use full force, full aggression. And he uses that kime spirit, that idea of going all in with full force in the kettlebell training. So he says every rep has to be an all-out effort. And this is where we differ in opinion, because I use a different method. I use the sport style method when it comes to the ballistics. Yet I have to say that I came to full realization after the interview with Dennis. It was obvious, but sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees. I was like, well, the Turkish kettlebell is not kettlebell sport, right? He says, no, it's not, Dennis. And I was like, well, then it originated from somebody else. So it's probably Pavel brought it to the table. And when you look at the history, it even says Turkish kettlebell. Maybe it originated somewhere in Turkey, but with a different method or a different weight. Maybe a stone or a dumbbell or a barbell or whatever. And then Pavel said, hey, let's do it with a kettlebell. So actually, I'm not a 100% full-blown out sport athlete, but I love a lot of aspects from the sport that I choose, especially in the ballistics. But the grinding lifts, most of them are not sports related. So I'm a mixture, I'm a hybrid, and I actually like it. This is what my realization after the interview with Dennis. And well, it's good stuff, but I'm digressing a little bit now. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in the book, and you see the influence, the heavy influence. Now, what I not especially don't like, it's just I disagree with it, or that's just not my cup of tea, it's not my style, is he uses the word sissy like 6 times in the book. He's like, if you don't know what strong is, you're probably not. Or stuff like, don't let me catch you with those sissy gloves, or don't use those sissy rubber bands and those Ken and Barbie dumbbells. And that's his style. That's like that ice cold. Like I said, that's that ice cold Russian Spetsnaz guy. And he is a martial artist, or he has some ties maybe to martial arts. And he was in the army, so he got that, yo, if you don't do what I do, I'm gonna kill you vibe, right? So this is something that, maybe that scares some people off with the experience that I have in the range of people that we coach, because we help people lose weight with kettlebell training and nutrition. We cannot use this approach. Of course, there is some discipline involved, and I know where he comes from. It's about discipline. It's about understanding. Some calluses on your palm are not going to kill you. Sometimes I even tell our clients when they say, "Oh, my forearm hurts," I say, "Well, that's normal." But Steve Cotter, he expresses it totally in a totally different vibe. Steve says, inconveniences are there for you to grow. Pain is something that tells you probably have done too much, but something that is inconvenient or discomfort forces you to grow. This sounds way more beautiful than, hey, if it hurts, you're a sissy. You get what I'm saying? So that's Pavel's style. And that's the reason why I gravitated, and I told it Steve, and I even told it Dennis, now that I was able to talk to and get to know 2 of the greatest minds in the kettlebell world or kettlebell sport as well, they're humble, and I gravitate towards that field. I'm not saying, if you don't know what strong is, I would never say, man, that you're definitely not strong, because maybe you've never lifted a weight and you can't even lift a 12 kilogram with proper form, yet you've carried some life burdens on your neck, which makes you an even stronger person than I am. And he even does he compares it in one page. He says, and that's where he sees he has a lot of respect for the military. He's like, if you do an exercise better than the veteran next to you, don't ever think that you're better. Don't ever think that you're stronger, because blah, 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 blah. And that's his style. That's his vibe. This is not disrespecting. Please, guys, don't misunderstand this with disrespecting the man who brought kettlebells to the Western world, or at least was one of the most pivotal people and iconic figures to bring kettlebells to the mat. Because sometimes in these reactions we get people who say, well, you disrespect him, and I don't want to disrespect him. At the same time, I don't think disagreeing with somebody is disrespecting that person. So that's something. And then the other thing where I probably don't really agree with is the weight that he chooses. The weights. Now, after this great interview, which you can please check it out with Denis Vasilev, after this interview, I'm even more convinced that the weights that he chooses are tricky. Yeah, it's, you can try it, and there are people who do what he does and do it very good. You see it with the Strong First Academy, you see it with the Strong First instructors, and you see it with folks probably who can do it. But I just remember somebody commenting who said, I did the simple and Sinister program. I chose the weight that he told me, and then I hurt my shoulder. So, well, at the same time, this can happen with kettlebell sport as well. So that's why I tout start easy, start light. Now, in the spirit of Simple and Sinister, we don't want to go through all of the book. We just want to check out this page where it says Simple and Sinister summarized, and I want to give you my comments on these points. Because like I said, read the book. It's only 138 pages. It's an easy read. It's easy to digest. Take what you think is good for you and leave away what you think you don't need. And another aspect that I just want to briefly brush on and touch upon is the fact that when we talk about this all-out effort method, he compares it with the Kime, like I mentioned before. When we talk about this method of using every rep to its fullest aggressive force with all-out effort, then I want to point you to this critical review that you find in the description that I read through, and I've really highlighted a lot of stuff. So what does the evidence say? What does science say? Science says that it's mixed at best, and it tends towards, when you look at this review, which was from 2007, there might be newer stuff now, but this review tends to say that doing exercises explosively has no merit or no benefit to the actual training that you do. So for example, if you're a football player and they lose this one great example, this one great study comes to mind where they had baseball players. They had one group that did resistance training only, and then they had the other group who did aggressive medicine balls, using, you would say, well, that's sport specific, using the muscles or using the arms like you would do in a throwing manner. And the interesting thing is that the study found that the velocity of the throw was increased with the resistance training group and not with the medicine ball throwing group. And there's countless other exercises where I'm just highly doubting the fact that explosive or plyometric exercises actually serve a benefit in sports performance or even in just becoming stronger and better. And even the author of the study says it's crazy that so much of the literature supports the statement that explosive exercises do have a benefit, and that even so many strength coaches and experts, or they say the self-proclaimed experts, call it that way. So you see, that's where I don't think, or where I'm pretty mixed on the efficiency when you use all-out effort in a kettlebell swing. And the other thing as well that he mentioned in his critical review is the injury risk goes up because you put a lot of stress on connective tissue, on sinews, ligaments, bones, and putting a lot of stress initially with all-out effort on your first rep on these soft tissues and connective tissue and even smaller muscles could lead to a higher injury risk. He even states that in that study or in that critical review. So if you do it like that, you always have to abide to the rule of being warmed up 100%. I mean, warm up or routines of stretching and mobility is always important, but a warm up here 100%. Now let's go through the points. He says, number 1, train daily. Taking an occasional day off when your schedule or health prevents you from training. If you follow a serious strength training program, reduce the SNS frequency to twice a week. Now my feedback would be, I think 3 times per week is optimal and is great and is what most people will benefit from, because he actually mentions this, that most people don't need a specialized program. 80%, 90% of the population just need a basic program. Yet sometimes he refers to martial arts and warriors or strongmen or firefighters and soldiers, and these folks do have a special need in comparison to the normal population. So I would say 3 times per week is great, and if you train daily, make sure the doses is not as high, because 100 swings and 10 Turkish get-ups with heavy weight, even though it doesn't sound like a lot, with this weight that he advises, it's tricky. Start each practice with 3 circuits of 5 reps. Number 2, of pry and goblet squats, the hip bridges and halos. As an option, follow up with several get-ups with a shoe or light weight. I like it that he says follow up with get-ups with shoe, lightweight, to just greasing the groove, understanding the exercise, understanding how it works, which I think is great. And I actually discovered these pry and goblet squat. Aside from the curl, I think it's great for your hip and for your femur, because most of us, we have tight hips, and really being able to push your legs out and working like this, I think this is good stuff. Now halos, I've did a video about it. I would say use lightweight or be very careful with halos, because even though we can say, yeah, we're tight in the hips, but we're also tight in the shoulder. In both situations we're tight, yes, but the shoulder is a very delicate joint, so always be very careful there. Main part, 5 sets of 10 one-arm swings per arm, so that's 100, and 5 sets of 1 get-up per arm, so that's 10. Rest, that's the main part. Great stuff. It's a great workout. Rest actively between sets, and I think even the Turkish get-up is such a great exercise. You do a reverse lunge, you work your quads, you work your hamstrings, your glutes, your torso, your trunk, your chest, your shoulder, stabilizers. It's an awesome exercise. The Turkish get-up is a beast, followed up with a ballistic exercise where I believe the kettlebell shines the most, because the kettlebell is built like that to be very, very good for those ballistic exercises. I think the combo is great, because the swing is one of the greatest exercises for your midsection. This will effectively combat most of your back pain if you don't have structural problems. This is great stuff. Now rest actively between the sets, walk around, skip rope, shadow box, kick off the tension, do breathing exercises, finger extensions with a rubber band. Great stuff. I would even say choose lighter weight. We'll come to this. Choose lighter weight and do no rest at all. Do both exercises and both parts unbroken. Now we're here, rest long enough between sets to assure no drop off in technical proficiency. Now if you see a drop off in technical proficiency, always put the weight down. That's what we always say. Get up strength and swing power progressively but not aggressively. Reduce the rest intervals. I'm different in that matter, because Dennis even says that kettlebells build strength and endurance. It's the mixture, it's conditioning. It's not strength only. If you're looking for strength only, you're probably doing best with the powerlifting exercise, with deadlift, squats, and bench. And yet, so I think resting or reducing the rest intervals, that's totally fine. Now, when you reach the 1-to-1 work, number 6, work to rest ratio, one of the exercises, 100 total swings in 5 minutes, 10 total get-ups in 10 minutes, and can do the strongly almost any day. Move up in weight in that exercise. Now, 100 swings in 5 minutes, it's actually easy stuff if you do it with the kettlebell sport style. With the hard style, it's probably way harder. No, it is way harder. Yet and still, we both do the same load. Now the question is, when we look at the review or like the science, there doesn't seem no adaptability from explosive exercises. Why do it then like this? So see, this is where we differ, but it's totally fine. And 10 Turkish get-ups. Well, actually, if I do the Turkish get-up with a weight that challenges me, 20 to 24, I do 4 reps per minute. So that's 8 reps in 2 minutes. So that's, yeah, I did this. I think I did a 6-minute workout, 3 minutes left. And I always choose this. I choose the competition style. 3 minutes if I have a goal. I'm digressing a little bit. 5 minutes or 6 minutes. I'm doing 3 minutes with the left side and 3 minutes with the right side. So it's 4 reps per minute. If I go fast enough to feel strong with the 24, I can do it. Then I do, what is this? 4 times 5. I do 20 reps in 5 minutes. So yeah, that sounds good. Especially when you go with that heavy weight, which I do disagree with, that you should choose this weight. Fatigue or stress are no excuse for skipping a training session. Have a light day, reduce the weight in one or both exercises, and all or in some sets. Do 2-arm shadow swings with the kettlebell. You have to read the book to understand what shadow swings are. With the kettlebell, close to 30% of your body weight or lighter, and light get-ups at a 10-second pause at every stage. Now, fatigue or stress are no excuse for skipping a training session. I do understand the idea because most people have a problem with consistency and have maybe some problems with discipline as well. That's why it says don't skip it. Yet we see the other side as well. If you do too much, your body hits, because when you work out, inflammation levels go up. Now, if you don't have a lot of recuperation and restoration and pause and break and rest, this can lead to problems. And maybe then your body is telling you, hey, I need a rest. And then if you keep pushing, if you keep going, this is where injury risk goes up. And then maybe even there's a cliff that you fall off and then you stop working out altogether. So listen to your body. I do understand. Don't use just a small light headache for not working out. I do understand it. Yet everybody has different levels according to the experience that we have with our clients now. I wouldn't say this. After the kettlebell practice later in the day, do 1 to 3 sets of passive stretches. Blah blah blah. The QL straddle. Hang on a pull-up bar if you have one. That's great. Hang on a pull-up bar. Decompressing the spine. Good stuff. And the stretches. I love to do the warm-up of the stretches before the workout. Now, why do I do this? There's not a perfect reason. Of course, loosening up the muscles and moving the body to get those synovial fluids flowing. Of course, that's the reason why I do it. But I'll also do it because I love to unwind. As soon as I start warming up, stretching, mobilizing, then I'm unwinding, starting to think about the workout, getting ready into the mood. That's why I always do before the workout. It's good stuff. The simple goal, now here comes the big stuff where I do disagree with. The simple goal for women is 16 for get-ups and 24 kilo for swings. The Sinister goal for ambitious women is 24 and 32. Respectively, the simple goal for men is 32 kilo and both. It's simple, man. Pavel, man, I love you, man. The Sinister goal is 48 kilo. Oh, we have a 48, guys. I'm telling you. The 10 times 10 swings must be done in 5 minutes. Yes, we've already read that. We know this. A rep that does not fulfill every one of the technique standards is a no count. Now, while I believe that there are women who can do this, Angie does some swings with the 20. She did even a Turkish get up with a 20 kilo recently. And swinging with the 20 is no match for her. She can do it. Well, she has to work, but she can do it. Now, with the guys, 32, or women, ambitious goal for women, 24, you have to be a pretty strong woman. Now, I do know, looking at the Strong First instructors and looking at folks who train according to that weight, there are people who lift that weight. There are women who are very strong. There are women who lift that weight. Yes, there are guys who lift that weight, of course. I'm not saying that this doesn't exist. I'm not saying that people cannot do it. What I want to say is the following, and then you can build your own opinion. After talking to Denis Vasilev, he said, listen, when we look at kettlebells, I'm going to put it like this. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Fitness stops at women, when it comes to women, the fitness weight. Doing kettlebells for fitness, general fitness, preparation, getting ready, getting fit, losing weight, staying in shape, getting fit, stops at 16 kilo. For the guys, the same thing applies to the 24 kilo. This is where the limit is. Anything beyond, for a woman, anything beyond 16. For a man, anything beyond 24 is professional territory. Now, why is this professional territory? Because the injury risk goes up a lot. And if your technique is not safe, your body will not be very gracious. You don't have much of a grace period if you do something wrong with a 28 kilo. And we even, like I mentioned in the beginning, we had somebody in the comments who said, I've seriously hurt my shoulder with the 32 kilo. Okay? So with a professional, an 11-time world champion is telling me, listen, this is where the professional weights are starting, I think this is not a very good recommendation for weights. He even said it, start light first. Now, why light first? And Pavel even says this in the book. He says, why do more reps than needed? Why, if 100 are enough with full effort, why do more? I'm telling you why. There is a reason. If you do more, you work according to the so-called law of exercise and you build your muscle memory. Now, the stronger your muscle memory is, the more you profit from the law of exercise, the better your execution is if you have the right information, of course. Now, the better the execution, the more you are able to go into automatic mode and do the same exercise still with a great form when you go into panic mode or when stress starts, when you get tired, when the mental aspect comes in and your brain has to divert energy into all these different phases or all these different parts of your body because you're getting tired. Okay? So that's the reason why you have to choose or why it makes sense. Death of 1,000 cuts, okay? Doing thousands of reps with the same exercise. And Dennis even said, listen, when guys start in Russia, when they started working, it was a joke, he said, when they started in the weightlifting camp, Olympic weightlifting, you know what they had to do the first year? Choose a broomstick. Do the exercise with the broomstick. No, wait. You have to understand the movements, the patterns, the phases. And now we could say, well, these exercises are not as complicated. Well, I do think that the swing has some complication in it because it's a ballistic exercise and people are not used to it. There are instincts that come into play. We see this with the experience with our clients. And when we talk about the Turkish get-up, it's even bigger. It's even a bigger situation when you look at the Turkish get-up that involves a lot of coordination, understanding, and working with the kettlebell, especially when you look at even understanding how to grip the kettlebell. It's just one thing. So that's why 32 for a man, whoa, you're pretty strong if you do this. This is the end goal. A 48, we have a 48. I did, and I'm a lightweight dude. I have to say that I'm a lightweight dude. I'm not super strong. I was able to do one clean left, one clean right with the 48. The gravitational force is so massive. You think there is somebody beneath you pulling you down, wants to pull not only the kettlebell but your whole body down. It's so crazy. The gravitational force is crazy. And I was able to manage 10 swings with the sports style method with a 48. This is crazy amount of weight, and I would never choose somebody, a beginner, because this is a book says simple, and I think I'll have to reread it. You can correct me if you read it thoroughly, where it says it's not for beginners. But he says it's for the population who just needs workout, who just need to work out. These weight recommendations are, in my opinion, too heavy. What would I say? Simple goal for women, you start with the 8 kilo, and then if you're really, really ambitious, you end with the 16. Guys, you start with the 12, and if you're really ambitious, you end with the 24. This would be my recommendation. Now, every 2 weeks, take a kettlebell one or more sizes lighter than the one you're currently swinging, and do as many swings as possible without setting the kettlebell down. Great stuff. Pick any swing variation, 2-arm, 1-arm with multiple hand switches, hand-to-hand mixed. Any rep that does not fulfill every one of the swing stances is a no count. After a refresh, do your usual get-ups. Do not introduce non-stop swings into your training until your normal training weight is 24 kilo if you're a woman and 32 kilo if you're a man. Now, non-stop swings, we think, when you look at the sports style, it's the greatest way to train with the kettlebell or do the swing. You really get in the move, you get in the groove, get in the motion, and this is where I differ with him as well. I think non-stop swings, so doing the swing continuously without having to count the reps. And that's another thing that we could say. When people start counting reps, sometimes it may be confusing. Now you don't know, is it number 7? Is it number 8? Is it number 6? Is it number 9? So this can be confusing. That's hence why we always believe, with the experience with our clients, is the best thing to do is go with the 4-time method and choose the competition. That's what's up. So there you have it, guys. This is my review of the Kettlebell Simple and Sinister program by Pavel. If you liked the video, like it, consider subscribing, and join one of our live workouts. This is our bread and butter on our YouTube channel. Maybe you found us through the kettlebell content. Actually, we do a lot of live workouts on our YouTube channel with the kettlebell. Now join us, and if you think this content was not only worth your time but also worth your money, consider joining the Kettlebell Club. You get a lot of awesome perks. You can join a very understanding, loving, and cool community. We have a private Facebook group. You get some awesome emojis. You get the LS logo right next to your name. Whenever you comment something, you get the possibility to comment. The live chat is only for members only when we stream live. You can comment the finisher because we always have an interactive finisher in the live workouts. So hey, if that's your style, then do it. So I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and catch you on the next one. Peace out.